Blog Talk Radio.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountains should crumble the sea, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. And darling, darling, stand by me, oh, stand by me, oh, stand now. Stand by me, stand by me. Stand by me. Whenever you're in trouble, won't you stand by me? Oh, stand by me. Whoa.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday night in the second week of our new year of 2019. This is Off the Chain. I'm your host, Yvonne Mason, and I want to welcome each and every one of you to the show tonight. As you all know, this show is growing by leaps and bounds. It's just taken on its own life form, and I can't stop it. I quit trying. There's two ways you can get on this show. You can come on as a guest, or you can become a sponsor for the show. And if you become a sponsor for the show, I will run your ad for 30 days for $10, and no matter how many shows I have in that 30 days, I will run your ad. If for some reason I have to reschedule a show because things in my life are still kind of crazy, your ad will follow the show. So you will get your 30 days. You can renew your ad anytime you wish for as long as you wish. So with that being said, you can contact me at offthechainradio@yahoo.com, because remember, ladies and gentlemen, we are heard in over 200 countries. We have about 250,000 listeners, and this show is put on several different podcasts after it goes into archives. So it's an opportunity for you to be heard in places you have never been heard before. And with that being said, I want to welcome a new sponsor to the show, Dirt Road Sunset. If you listen to the show before Christmas, they were a guest on the show. It's four guys, George, Sandy, Dave, and Ed. And their songs are available on iTunes, Reverb Nation, Amazon, CD Baby. And they're a mixture of bluegrass, rock and roll, country, old school. And all the proceeds from these sales go to support Breast Cancer, Children's Hospital, Disabled American Veterans, and CERT, the training of canine search and rescue and service dogs. So this is a great opportunity to support an indie band as well as support these different organizations. So check them out. That's Dirt Road Sunset, and they are found where all indie music is available. Diane Moat, she's been on this show before. She has a series of books, and they're called the Sam Holden series. And Sam Holden is our favorite vigilante. She has released her third book in the series. In Dog Bones, Sam's quest to avenge abused animals is threatened when the FBI comes after her on one side and the commissioner wants her dead on the other. Will her double life be exposed? Will she be able to protect the animals, her friends, and herself? Check out Dog Bones by Diane Moat everywhere ebooks are sold. If you haven't started the series yet, be sure to begin with Doggone by Diane Moat for free on Amazon. As all of you know, Traveler Pelton has been on this show. She has a new book out. It's called The Importance of Family. It came out at the end of December. Traveler's back with all the political intrigue, hard science fiction, and adventure her fans have come to expect from her tales. In Book 8 of the Generations of the Oberlin Family Chronicles, Noah, Violet, Kai, Zanya, Jasmine, Scott, Gabriel, Katrana, and their families chase through the world, pitting their family, resources, intellect, and espionage network against the Brotherhood, erecting protective domes all over their safe houses and laboratories as they are labeled traitors, and the military is sent to take them into custody. As the planet's plant life dies from the thickened water, the mutations spread throughout the animal kingdom. The Oberlins are made the scapegoats for all the world's problems. When Micah and Alexander are kidnapped, Noel has to call in help from all the worldwide family to bring them home. As the family worldwide retreat to the dome, they wonder if they will hold through military bombardment. Will the Earth survive, or has the destruction of the environment and the population plummet gone too far to recover? Will only the people of the domes make it to the next millennium? This book and all of Traveler's books are available on Amazon. Just type in J. Traveler Pelton and you will be taken to her page. Have a look, download some for yourself to enjoy on all those cold, dark, and long winter afternoons when all you want to do is stay in. Don't forget to leave them a review on Amazon because they are always appreciated. You can also visit Traveler on her webpage, travelerpelton.com. And with that, I want to welcome an author who has been on here before. She's been a crazy person as well as working a full-time job. Author Melinda Kucsera. She writes fantastic short stories, novels, and books when not being kidnapped by dragons or chased by armies of fictional characters. They do, on occasion, rescue her. She leaves running up her newsletter to a cast of lovable characters who hog her inbox. But enough about her. It's them you're really interested in, her cast of characters. Join them every week for a new story at www.mkucsera.com/welcome characters. Melinda, welcome to the show. Your year is starting off with a bang.
Isn't it? I hope so.
I'm wondering, do you ever sleep?
Yes. Yes, every night I have to. I couldn't get through my day job if I didn't.
And your day job, you're a projects manager, right?
Yes.
And just from my being in corporate America, that job can be stressful on its own.
It's a lot of details to manage, a lot of things to keep track of.
And not just things, you have to keep track of people too, don't you?
Well, I mean, yeah, I have to make sure that the work that's done, if I parcel it out to the various, the designers and developers, and make sure that it gets done, and any communication that needs to happen between them and the stakeholders, that it does happen. If we need approvals, if we need more information, if I need to sit in meetings, that I make sure that all happens. Pull together whatever needs to be pulled together. Fun stuff.
Well, and the reason I bring it up is because people that don't write and don't publish, unless they are project managers, they cannot fully relate to that because when we write, when we publish, we also act like project managers with our own stuff.
Oh yeah, you gotta wear so many hats.
And you got to parcel some stuff out, and sometimes it gets kind of crazy. Just like we talked before the show, you and your cover designers couldn't come to a meeting of the minds, so you accepted compromise. Sometimes that's kind of tough, though, isn't it?
It is, but sometimes it's what you got to do because of their skill level, or like sometimes it's just a matter of like what's available. Some designers, only work with stock images. If there aren't any stock images, which what I run into a lot because I write a story about a father and a son, there just aren't any pictures of kids in fantasy garb, and getting model releases for kids is very difficult. So that's, there's a lot of designers that I just can't use because there just isn't stock photography for it. So then I end up having to use illustrators, and some illustrators are comfortable drawing characters from scratch. Some of them prefer to work from, a stock image where they have the face and some other details, and they'll draw the rest in. And some of them will completely wholesale draw everything on their own. But, that's a sliding scale of price, and and then obviously the better designers who can do everything from scratch. In addition to price, there could be long wait times getting on their calendar. So you have to sort of find the best, what's in your price range, what's in your timeline, and then you just have to work within their capabilities.
Well, and fantasy is time consuming within itself, because not only do you run into the challenges with the cover designers, but you as the writer have to develop a storyline from absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Well, all writers are building it from nothing.
But some of us, for me, for instance, I take real places and build a story around that. But y'all have to create your country, your land, your demographic, your foliage,
everything,
your people, everything. It's that would drive me crazy. I would never get anything written. Kudos to you, my friend. How in the world do you do it?
Well, I start with something that I know. Like a lot of my stories are set in a place with similar weather, similar plant life to where I live in the Northeast of the United States. So I start with that. I was like, well, what can grow here? What are the seasons like? Okay, well, if they're going to be in a place like the Hudson Valley, let's say, then whatever we have here is what they can have. So I'll just sort of look stuff up, like what can grow here? What are the kinds of things that they might have to deal with? Then you have to deal with the fact that, in the world we live in, when you look around, not everything that you're looking at is something that was growing here at the time. Some of it is stuff that's brought here from other countries. You have to decide, are we going to incorporate that in, or, how do you want to deal with that? You want to decide, all right, well, since it does grow here now, we can, it is fantasy, we can decide that they can have them too.
Well, yeah. I'm going to tell you, you have my greatest regard and hero worship, because I have a hard time reading fantasy, much less trying to write it.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you do.
It can be hard to get into. Like, I can understand why some people have a hard time with fantasy, because there's not, you're depending on the author to give you some signpost, some touchstone to connect their world to the reality that so that you can empathize and you can immerse yourself in this world. And some authors do it better than others. I've read something. I love fantasy, and there are just some fantasy books that I just could not get into because there were no signposts on the road, there were no touchstones, there was nothing to connect the thing in their head with what's in reality as I know it. And I was like, I just can't. I need a bridge, and you didn't build me a bridge.
Correct. Now, see, I could not read Tolkien's The Hobbit. My sister loved it. I couldn't read it, but I could watch it when it came out.
Because you had all that, because in watching it, you had the signposts, it connected you, you could see it, and you can be, you're seeing trees that that you've seen around, you're seeing beautiful vistas, and you're seeing the emotions of the characters they go through. And also in the movies, like, they cut out a lot of the poetry stuff, and they made the language a little bit more accessible. Like, I have actually read the Tolkien books and seen the movies. I did not read the book before seeing the movie. I meant to, but I was in college at the time, and it just didn't work out. So I did see the movie and then read the book. I've read the book many times since then, but I think sometimes I wonder if I hadn't seen the movie first, would I have enjoyed the book quite as much? Because I came into it already knowing something about it, and I already had that connection. That bridge was there. When I read it, there's like all this stuff and all this poetry, and the whole beginning of the book, they randomly go on these things that just weren't in the movie. Like, he cut out a bunch of their random wanderings, and I'm like, wait a minute, when are you going to go, I don't know, destroy the ring? When are you going to go do the thing you're supposed to do in here? You're just wandering around, doing things that have no relationship to what happens later. And then eventually we get into meeting of it, and I'm like, okay, now, but if I hadn't, so I can understand why it puts people off. Like, a lot of fantasy authors get, like, really uptight about the whole Tolkien thing, but I'm not one of those people. Like, I totally understand because I had that experience. Like, I did watch the movie first, so I came into it knowing where this was all going. But if you had just picked it up, like, the first couple hundred pages, like, there's just, it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. So I understand that a lot of people can't get past that. And there's a lot of poetry, like long passages, not like a few lines here and there. There's just long passages of it that just go on and on. You're like, I don't understand what they're talking about because the whole thing is in verse, and it's written in kind of archaic language and mimicking archaic language, and it's calling up, referencing a whole mythos and stuff that I don't know anything about. Like, there's nothing for me to touch and relate to in here. So I don't do that in my stuff. If I put a little bit of poetry here and there, it's a teeny bit here and there, and that's it. And we use very simple language. It's more because, like, in those days, had no TV or radio, so people, catchy lines and stuff get caught in your head, and that's it. You hear a minstrel sing a song, and that gets caught in your head. So in the book, that'd be written as poetry, but I'll just put a teeny bit here and there because we all wander around singing songs and stuff, and that was their entertainment at the time. So I'm, like, cognizant of that. And I think people can relate to that because, like, they all wander around singing stuff after once in a while. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's okay. Songs get caught in my head all the time, and it aggravates me because I can't get out of my own head, so they won't shut up. And for no random reason, it just starts. And you want to just put your hands over yours, but that doesn't do any good either. Now, I'm going to back up just a little bit because when I went on your website, you put out a Christmas book called Sterling Christmas, and somehow I missed that.
Oh, Stealing Christmas? It's actually, It's actually not a book that's out for you to buy. I'm writing it each week in the newsletter as sort of a special gift to my subscribers. Like, I always have a story in every newsletter, and I try at least once a year to write something that's specifically for the folks in my newsletter. And if you're not on the newsletter list, then you're not getting this. I do publish them when they're finished and put them out for everyone. But right now it is exclusively just in the newsletter. And it's posted on my website as well. It was just something that I liked to do. I've been doing it since I started this whole publishing thing. People really love it. So I like my newsletter to be fun. I look forward to putting it together. It's a bright light in my week. Sometimes it seems like a hamster wheel, you get up, you go to work, you work on the books, and it's just my little break where I can just do something fun.
Just for you?
Oh, it's for the fans. It's for readers too. So I get lots of emails.
I found out something interesting that I'm going to have to check into and see if I can get it on I don't have an Android, I have an iPhone. But you use the Hemingway app. Explain that to our listeners and future writers because it's very interesting how you use that.
Well, I used it for a couple of books. Now I don't really use it so much anymore. Like what the Hemingway app is Hemingway had his own way of writing. It was very spare. He used very simple language. He used short sentences. And that's what the Hemingway app is. Like it points out if your sentence is getting too long and complicated, it points out if you're using words that are, you could be using simpler language. It'll point out if you're not using like action-based language, like if you're using sort of passive constructions. And because you want everything to be in that active voice, like I went there, I threw the ball. You don't want to say the ball threw me. Although that wouldn't be a passive construction, but that would be just kind of strange. But I see all kinds of strange things when I edit people's writing. So,
I see all kind of strange things when I look at my own. I go, did I really write that way? Have I lost my mind?
Yeah. I've written the best thing is if you ever use the voice to text thing, because you're doing something else and you're like, I've got this idea and I just need to get it down, but I can't sit here and type it out. I need to be doing this other thing. And you're talking into your phone and you're expecting the phone to be translating your words exactly as you were saying them. Then you read it back. You're like, what is this? Where did you get that from? This bears no resemblance to the idea that I had. There's been some fabulous ones on there. Apparently I have some accent that the phone can't understand. some of them I just, oh yeah, and then I end up having to retype the whole thing anyways. I was like, well, this is a waste of time. If you ever need to laugh, just turn on the speech to text ask and talk to it. You're guaranteed to get some strange things.
It's something that you're not even sure what it is. So, as a fantasy author, you have put out some interesting books. And before we get into these books, I'm going to run some sponsorships right quick, and that way we don't have to take another break. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about these books, because just the synopsis, even though I'm not a fantasy reader, makes me want to read them.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I'm going to have to read some of these synopses. Some of these, I write them up, and I'm like, God, these sound terrible. I'm going to want to
they make me want to read them. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Off the Chain. I'm your host, Yvonne Mason, with my guest, author Melinda Kucsera, who writes fantastic short stories, novels, and books. That is, when she's not being kidnapped by dragons or chased by armies of fictional characters. We will return to learn more about her books in about 4 minutes. This is Off the Chain. I'm your host, Yvonne Mason, and we will be right back.
Best-selling and award-winning author of true crime and crime fiction, Yvonne Mason is back with a brand new book, The Pink Canary, a book that delves into the life of a drag queen and a marvelous whodunit. You can find this and all of Yvonne's other works on Amazon.com, or find Yvonne Mason on Facebook and Twitter.
You're gonna kill me.
Buy your copy of Pink Canary now.
Do you have cougars on your porch swing? Are horses your new best friend? Do your nicest shoes get buried knee-deep in snow as your toes turn blue? Are you bothered by wolves at your woodpile? No, not that kind of wolf. Join wildlife artist and author Nancy Quinn and her family as they discover an exciting new life in Go West, Young Woman, a true Montana adventure. Available online and in bookstores. Or visit QuinnWildlifeArt.com for a personalized signed copy. Critics agree. It's a hoot.
Germany, 1938. Charlotte, a young girl of 15, wanders into Georg's cobbler's shop to have her shoes repaired. Georg, enamored by Charlotte's charm and grace, decides then and there that he's going to marry her. But they must keep their love a secret from family, friends, and, most importantly, the Nazis. Follow along as Georg's pursuit of the young Charlotte results in the couple traveling a heart-stopping, winding route to stay one step ahead of the Gestapo in their escape from Nazi Germany, with a surprising twist along the way. If you like history and romance, don't miss Good Things Always Happen in Springtime by Joanne Fisher, available at www.joannesbooks.com.
Juliana is a middle-aged housewife in Toronto with a career, a husband that has little interest in her well-being, and 3 children. In the evenings, she gets on her computer and chats with people around the world. When she gets involved with Aaron and Bobby, her life becomes a pinball, bouncing around her husband, her job, her children, and her 2 online friends. She's bewitched by the romantic poetry of Aaron, but the honesty and kindness of Bobby bring her all the way to California. Watch for the ironic twist of fate that takes her in a direction she never expected. If you like spicy romances, don't miss With All of Me by Joanne Fisher, available at www.joannesbooks.com.
Fiore is a young Italian woman engaged to be married, but her plans are interrupted by a charismatic Sebastian, a handsome middle-aged Spanish businessman. Her beauty strikes him like a thunderbolt sent by the goddess Venus herself. When she's given a peculiar gift, a Spanish doll, she's thrown into a whirlwind of entangled passion, money, secrets, and love.
Their romance sparks in a charming little Italian town located on the southern part of Lake Garda in northern Italy and takes them around the globe.
What happens when her life is suddenly shattered by a lifelong secret? Her Spanish doll will bring you to a caliente Spain
and a romantic Italy,
adding some spice along the way. Available at www.joannesbooks.com.
And we are back. This is Up the Chain. I'm your host, Yvonne Mason, with my guest, author Melinda Kucsera, and she writes fantasy. And before the break, we were getting ready to talk about her fantasy books. I'm sitting here looking at The Curse Breaker, which books you have books 1 through 4, so it's a series of books, correct?
Yeah, book 5 just came out in December. So,
well, the cover of The Enchanted is amazing.
Oh, thank you. I did that one. Well, the readers recently asked me if I'm going to redo it to match some of the other ones, and I said yes, but I haven't quite come up with a concept yet to tell them.
Oh, I kind of like it. I kind of like it the way you have it. The synopsis of this lady is called it goes: start no fires, carry no weapons, and do no harm. Those 3 rules safeguarded countless travelers through the enchanted forest until they didn't. One boy's murder ripped open a gateway, allowing evil to enter. Now no one is safe from corruption. Enchanted trees take Sauron to where the forest failed to uphold its rules. Seeing a dead child gifted with the same magic as his son unhinges Sauron. He vows to find out the truth no matter what the cost, but his gift is untrained and finding answers won't be easy. Sauron must balance nights serving the Rangers with days dedicated to hiding his son from the dark forces stalking them both. When Sauron's masters demand he abandon the quest, he faces an impossible choice: doom the ghost whose murder endangers them all, or die from the backlash of breaking his word. With the odds stacked against him, can Sauron fix anything, or will all be loosed?
Well.
And then you've got the more epic version.
Yeah, well, the first, yeah.
Explain
yeah, the first
that.
version. Well, the first version came out, and I put the first version out in, I think it was 2016. It was my sister passed away in 2014, and her last words to me was to publish the Curse Breaker series, which I had been working on for a number of years, which she liked, and she'd been bugging me to publish it, and I hadn't. So she passed away, and I worked on it some more, rewrote it some more, and rewrote it probably more than it needed to be rewritten. And I finally put it out, and then I decided to, and then it just became sort of like this book that must be perfect because it came to symbolize that promise that I'd made to her. So I rewrote it again, and I put that out as a more epic version because I felt it was just made it a stronger book. Readers are kind of some readers really love the original version. Some readers really love the more epic version. It's sort of a book that everybody has a different opinion on. I started rewriting it again. It's just a book that I just can't stop. I just need to leave it alone. I need to stop and leave it alone and write more books. Readers email me to stop every time I mention, because my newsletters are written from the perspective of my characters. So I let them, so they complain about me in the newsletter, oh, our scribe is rewriting Enchanted again for the 4th time. We just tell her to stop. So I just put it in there to be entertaining. Because I like to people know what's going on in life, and my life is kind of boring. I go to work and I work on books, and that's basically it. And saved by the characters, and that's all in the newsletter. We've had all kinds of adventures where they have rescued me from crazy situations. And so I just put that in as a throwaway comic because I was feeling kind of blue, and I was thinking of my sister, and I took it out and started working on it again instead of working on the book that they're waiting for an email, and they're like, just stop, leave it alone, the book is fine, we love it as it is, warts and all, and then that's part of its charm is that it's not perfect, and that they get, because it's a series, so it evolves over time. So
and the second one, and we've come full circle. The second one is called Darkens. Now, this cover, ladies and gentlemen, is just amazing. I like the silhouette of the father and son on the cover, and the main focus is the face, and he's holding light. And this is what it says: with faith as his shield, can an old warrior triumph against a demon when all other weapons fail? God's never had a warrior quite like Gerlo on his side. When a demon's body and a book of black magic turn up missing, the commander of the Rangers must get off his butt and go find them. The question of what happened to them prods Gerlo to seek out the one person he swore he'd never speak to again, a man everyone thinks is long dead. Gerlo's relentless quest leads to the oubliette and a psycho cell where shadows of his past take him captive. Gerlo must outwit the dark force rising in his home without magic before he falls under its sway. The life of his ward hangs in the balance. One wrong move, and the young man God asked him to protect will end up a mindless automaton, or worse, dead. In a land where magic is their only hope, can a man of faith triumph against a foe who can magic up deadly minions? Now, tell me about this book, because this is interesting.
It's actually I love the story. It's such a fun romp. It's actually Thorin's boss is the head of the Rangers. So, and the second book is about his boss. It's because these 2 items at the end of the first book just kind of went missing, and I was like, wait a minute, I can't leave them as missing. What happened to them? We need to figure out what happened to them. Who has them? Why do they have them? And that led to this whole crazy adventure. And I was like, you know what? I need to write this and put this out. It's just too interesting. And Thorin and his son are in this. They have just a very small role because they're sort of in a lot of trouble with this. And yeah, it's just turned out to be just such a fun book. And it was interesting too because he doesn't have any magic. He's just this extremely faithful guy. So when things go wrong, he's like, all right, Lord, I can use a miracle. And that would be awesome.
Today would be good. Well, the
so the
cover,
whole book, he just kind of goes along, and he's like, all right, God, any help you could throw my way? All right, I guess I haven't been all that great since you're not throwing any help in my direction.
So
I'll do some penance if you save me.
he has to rely on 2 things. He has to rely on his faith in God, and he has to rely on his own wits to get him out of these dark places. I love it.
And he's very resourceful.
It is absolutely a great premise for a story because to me, it would make one sit back and evaluate one's own life. I like that idea. Now let's go to Faceted.
It's a fun book.
It looks like it would be.
Book.
Now, it's Faceted one with the newer cover.
Yes,
I think I
redid this one.
It is too cute. Now,
this is
Go ahead.
I was going to say this book brings us back the focus back on the father and the son, which is what the series is about. But I do plan to take a bunch of side excursions where we let other characters sort of take the wheel and take you on wild adventures. But this is back to the father and the son, which the father is the curse breaker, the heart of the series. So this is back to them being the focus. They're in trouble again.
They can stay in trouble, don't they?
No, it's just their situation. He's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. Like, not getting into trouble is sort of, unless his life situation changes, that's kind of impossible. He doesn't have much control over his own life. So.
And this one, ladies and gentlemen, it goes, in a subterranean world where light is everything, can an untrained mage and his son stop the encroaching darkness? He is an untrained mage spying on the men responsible for his best friend's demise with his young son in tow. Those men are hunting for magic-stealing rocks to fuel a zealot's quest. When greed collides, something far worse is released, and it's hungry for a certain mage and his son, who will survive the dark terror looking under the mountain. This makes me want to read this book.
It's a fun story. There's some really fun scenes in there. There's some like. Enjoy. Go on. Sorry.
That's okay. Just the covers alone, because now I've gone to Falls, and you use the
That's
same.
That's the new one that I did.
I love it because you've got the father.
That was 3D models.
Yeah, you've got the father sending out the magic, and the little boy's trying to emulate his father, as most children do. Those who doubt will fail. Something evil is loose in Mount Erdrin.
Right. Yeah. However you want to pronounce it's fine.
And it's determined to keep Sarn away from the enchanted forest, and the menace destroyed it. This time, Ghost Bear can't save him. Neither can the Queen of All Trees, because she's locked in a deadly duel with a foe that's beyond her power to stop. With his son by his side, Sarn must face down a legendary evil with only a ragtag bunch of reluctant magical constructs at his side. If he fails, Shayari will fall, and the adversary will add an unstoppable monster to his ranks. But doubts to sell Sarn. He's not sure he's the hero the world needs, and if he became that man, would he still be the father his son needs? In a world where magic is powered by belief, such doubts can have lethal consequences. One will rise and one will fall. These are amazing, Melinda.
Thank you. I just rewrote that blurb. You're reading it, I'm like, oh, maybe I should edit. Maybe I should fix it again.
It's beautiful because I can't speak English tonight, but the blurbs are great.
Oh,
it makes me want to read the books. And like I said, I am not a fantasy. Even the covers make me want to read the books.
That one I just redid over the Christmas. I was off for a week for Christmas break, and I redid a couple of covers. Like, I was up till like 3 a.m. Like, and yeah, this is one of the ones that I lost some sleep over.
Oh, bless. Well, you shouldn't have, because it's beautiful. Now, Shards for his present. You've got it as a curse breaker novel, but is it a standalone? I originally started writing it in the newsletter, and it became like this giant thing. And it's actually a frame story, and part of the frame story is that years later, when the son is 4 in the current series, in the books 1 through 5, but in Shards for his present, that one is set when he's a teenager. So I'm still working on that, but there's I can't put it out because it's like there's too many spoilers in it, so I have to wait. Uh-oh.
But there is a middle story, like it's a frame story. It's a story within a story, and the other story within the story I am going to put out this September as part of a box set. It doesn't have a name yet, the box set. So that's coming out in September. I'm working on that. That tells us it's way back. It's set during when the son is like just a baby. He was kidnapped by some really bad people, and Sarn had to get him back. And he, at the time, because Sarn was only about 21 when the series taking place. So when his son was a baby, he was only about 16, 17 years old. So, but nobody knows he has his son. So he's got to find the people who took his son, and he wasn't there when the son was taken because he was at work. So now he's got to figure out what happened, find his son, get him back, and he's got to do all this without anybody finding out what happened. So he doesn't really have any help. And so it's a really fun story. I have about half of it written. So.
Well, I can't wait till you put the Shards for His Present out, because, ladies and gentlemen, listen to this. This is, and she's got it titled Update Number 1. I'm the main character in this one. Yes, me, Rand, your newsletter narrator. That's right, you're stuck in my bubbly teenage head as I run into some time-bending trouble. It all started with a mysterious orb and an old woman. I know I shouldn't accept presents from strangers, but it was shiny, and you know how much I love glowing things. But this orb showed me more than I bargained for. It uncovered things Papa didn't want me to know, and this time he doesn't know I'm in danger. That one shall be really, really, really interesting. So your young man just keeps finding all kinds of problems.
Yeah.
Then you went. You're amazing. You went from magic to angels and demons.
Yes. Oh, I love that book. Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that don't know which one we're talking about, it's called His Angelic Keeper, and the cover is killer, Melinda. It is absolutely stunning.
It was a pre-made that a designer did. She put it up, and also there's always people complain they don't have any money because it's over Christmas, and I was like, I must have this. It's the perfect cover. It's better than the one I had. So I snapped it up.
I love it. Not all angels come in peace, and they're not alone. 1 demon, 2 dragons, 5 angels, and a pack of memory-stealing beasts stand between one young woman and the past. When a supernatural conspiracy threatens her still-living twin and his young son, it's time for desperate measures. Sylvan might be dead, but she won't let incorporality or amnesia stop her. To save her brother, she must first regain her past, but in doing so, she uncovers a dangerous secret. An angel killed to protect, and he's not alone. When Sylvan crossed the line between life and death, she undermined the balance that underpins reality. Now a host of angels are out to stop her before she destabilizes it any further. For everything there's a price, even for saving those she loves. Unless Sylvan can find a loophole, all of reality might pay the ultimate price just so she can save her brother and his son. But she'd better hurry. Her magical twin is fighting for his life against a powerful demon bent on taking his soul, and his son is next in line. His Angelic Keeper is the first book in a humorous, action-packed sword and sorcery series, say that fast 3 times, starring Sylvan from the Cursebreaker series. With no allies to help her, this plucky ghost must brazen her way through the formless, memory-leeching gray of limbo to the purple spheres of heaven itself, and that might not even be enough to stop what's coming. Okay, you had me at not all angels come in peace.
Well, this one they don't.
Tell me about, how did this come about?
An author friend of mine had put up a notice that she was doing an anthology on angels and magic, and I was like, oh, I have this great character who showed up in Enchanted. It was Tharn's sister. She had passed away, and she showed up as a ghost to help him at the end of the book. And she wasn't able to help as much as she had wanted, and it just sort of raised an interesting thing, like, well, if you're a ghost, like, where are you, and what have you been doing all this time, and, you know, what's going on with you? So I just got in her head and had to look around, and this incredible story came out, and then she ended up showing up in book 4, Cursebreaker Falls, and then again in book 5, Cursebreaker Sundered, to help him out. Like, so it just sort of evolved into this. So now she's like back and forth between her books and his books, and it's sort of fun.
She's a busy ghost.
She's a little bit more than a ghost, as you find out in the book. Something happened. not quite a ghost, not quite. She's got a very interesting tale. I don't want to give away the big twist.
Oh, absolutely not, because then you just spoil everything. So with that being said, we're going to move on to Ride the Darkness. Now, this cover, Dragons and Good-Looking Men, he's the Lord of the Sea, so I guess it's a water dragon. It was supposed to be a routine patrol the first year of this year's graduates, but nothing about it is routine when a shadow climbs aboard and starts killing trainees and their trainers. Bored out of his mind from drilling the trainees, and hits the deck to check out his sea dragon, unaware there's a silent killer aboard. More than gossip with her fellow dragons, it's keeping his dragon awake this night and him too. An old power stirring, setting all the dragons and those like Arnaven who are Magigift on edge. One man and his mute dragon plan to send them all the way to a watery grave to keep that magic, and would it unlocks a secret. But he'll have to go through Arnaven and his dragon first, and they're the best warriors to sail the Starseas in a long, long time. Okay, you've got dragons, you've got warriors, you've got intrigue. Where'd this one come from?
This one has actually a really interesting story. In 2008, the economy took kind of a turn, and I was working for a company, and actually, no, was it 2007? It was whatever the year was. It was 2007, 2008, and I'd been working for a company doing kind of the same thing I do now. And the company had hit some hard times, and I walked into work. Actually, I think it was like January 9th or something in 2007 or 2008, which is kind of interesting because today is January 10th. It was around this time then. And I walked in, and they called us into a meeting at 11 o'clock. They were laying off 30% of the company, and I was one of those 30%.
Oh, lovely.
So they had a security guard. I was going back to my desk to pack my things to make sure that I didn't take anything that wasn't mine. So I'm going home on the train, and I'm all upset, and I'm like, how am I going to pay my bills? What am I going to do? And while I was looking for a job, and as back then, I mean, jobs were harder to get. I went interview after interview, and it was sort of just mind-numbing. I ended up getting it. I just started writing a story about this water world, and it was sort of like Pirates of the Caribbean meets like Star Wars meets like Lost of Dragons, and it just sort of went from there. And I ended up writing two and a half books. And I decided, because this year is 2019, and it's the 10-year anniversary of this company I've been with. I was like, I really want to put this dragon story out, sort of like as a, hey, I got through that period of unemployment. I ended up being out of work for almost 2 years before I finally got this job that I'm at now. So I just wanted to put this out. It's sort of like, it was sort of like, to me, this series is like a symbol of triumph. Something good came out of that almost 2 years of like me like scrimping and going crazy and going to interview and just going blind looking at the job sites, like just trying to get my foot back in the door somewhere. So that's where the crazy idea came from. Me crying my eyes out on a Metro North train.
The story and the cover is absolutely amazing. And then that brings the last book that's on your list, and I don't see a cover for it yet, so I'm assuming it's still in the birthing room. And it's called Robbing the Rogues, ladies and gentlemen. And this is a Curse Breaker crossover novel. And it hasn't come out yet, but the small synopsis is this. They took her daughter, now she's taking her baby back. On the longest night of the year, the Wild Hunt used to roam freely through the enchanted forest, but they were just a legend until they rode into camp and kidnapped Robin's daughter. It's not just her child the Wild Hunt kidnapped. They took the son a young mage is raising in secret, and he wants his baby back. With the help from that mage and his enigmatic friend who might be more dangerous than the hunters who kidnap their children, Robin's hunting the hunters, and failure is not an option. Did she show up in any of the Cursebreaker books?
No, this will be her first appearance. This is the frame story within the Shards for His Present. Like, that was the story that Star and Son end up like seeing, was that, oh my God, when I was a baby, somebody kidnapped me. Well, I didn't, wow, how did that happen? So that was the frame story inside. And since I can't do his story yet because it brings out too many spoilers, but I can do that inside story because it takes place before book 1. So there's no spoilers in it.
Sort of like a prequel.
So it's kind of a prequel, yeah. But it's also introduces a Robin, who is my Lady Archer, who's also a ranger, she's a warrior in her own right, but she doesn't have any magic. So she's wandering around a country that's 100% enchanted forest, trying to make a living, trying to do her thing with her daughter, who's just a baby, and looking for work, and she doesn't have any magic to protect her, so she runs into problems of a magical nature. She's got to get out of it on her own wits. So.
Well, if when this one comes out, if it's anything like the others, and if the cover is anything like the other covers, you're going to be writing about these people until you're old and gray, Melinda, because your readers are not going to get enough of them. They're like their addiction of choice.
That would be great. Then I'd be able to retire and not worry about Social Security.
There you go.
It'll be there when I retire.
Yeah, it's probably going to be gone. I suspect it's going to be gone pretty quick. But that being said, your characters are so real and so believable in the covers that you have used with your characters. For instance, the face on the book darkens. He looks conflicted. He looks battle-worn and weary. He looks like faith is the only thing he's got to hold on to, and sometimes he probably wonders if that's even enough.
No, I think we all wonder that sometimes.
I agree, but that shows up in the face of this man, and it's absolutely amazing how you captured that when you put that cover together. I love it.
He's actually a stock photo, so I can't take 100% credit for that.
No,
I did,
but you did find it. Yeah, but you did find it.
Lots of searching.
And had the silhouette of the father and son. You should go into cover designing, my friend. I think you would do real well at it.
Oh, really?
Yes, absolutely. Because you have it takes a certain, before the show I told you that the cover designer that I've been using since 2007, and it's 2019 now, so 12 years I've been using her.
Wow.
And all I have to do is give her just a snippet of the book, and she nails it every time. It's like she gets in my head, or that my characters get in her head, I don't know what, but she knows how to make the covers pop. And I think you should just keep doing what you do, because you do an amazing job.
Well, I can't take credit for all of them. I mean, many of them are mine, but some of the really pretty ones are done by other people. The dragon one I didn't do. I wanted to do one, but I really wanted this to have a really pretty cover because it means so much to me, this series. It's like triumph. It's like you did it, girl. You went from the lowest of the low to crying your eyes out on a train about a job you really didn't like. To 2 years of, almost 2 years of misery trying to get a job, and you finally get one, and it pays you less than half of what you were making before. Then you freak out because you don't. How am I? And I was in debt at the time when I got the job that I have now, because I didn't want to default on any bills. So I was paying one bill with a credit card and another credit card with another one, and we were shuffling the debt. And and then I'm still paying it off, all that debt. And and it was scary because you get to that almost a 2-year mark and you couldn't find anything. Like I couldn't even get a retail job. There was just nothing. And to have this to show for it, to be able to put it out there and have it do well and have pretty covers, like I feel like it's sort of like it's like a triumph. It's like saying, hey, I survived this and something great came out of it. So.
And yes, ma'am, to both of those statements. But never give up designing your own covers, because the covers that you design, they speak, and they speak loudly. They're beautiful, beautiful covers.
Thank you.
And you are welcome, but you're not going to believe this. Our hour's almost up.
Oh.
Already.
You're having such fun.
I know, it always happens. So before we completely run out of time, will you tell the folks where you can be found and where your books can be found and how they can get your wonderful newsletter?
Well, if you come to my website, melindakucsera.com, and there's a C in Kucsera, so it's not exactly spelled as it sounds. There's links to all of my books. My books are sold on pretty much every bookstore out there. I'm not just on Amazon. I'm on iBooks and Barnes & Noble and Kobo and Google Play and a few, 20 other places. I can't quite remember right now. But I'm trying to be everywhere readers are so that I'm findable. And chance it is free to download everywhere. And if you come to a store where it is not free, just come to my website or let me know, and I will get it to you for free. Because it is supposed to be free everywhere, but like certain stores, I will not name them, keep changing it, even though I set it to free. I don't understand why, but it is what it is. And for my newsletter, if you come to my website, I have links in any of the posts. You can read back issues on my website to see if it's kind of your cup of tea. Every newsletter is an episode. It's run by my characters. There's very little involvement by me. It's all from their point of view. It's generally the little boy from the story that runs the newsletter. He also does all of my social media. And he does answer emails. Send emails to my author email.
And they can also find you on Facebook, can they not?
Yes, I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all those places. Mostly on Facebook. There's so much. The author community on Facebook is just so huge and so strong and boisterous. I'm always on Facebook to talk to them or to network with them. So I'm on Facebook a lot.
So with that being said, don't hang up when the show goes offline, but I do want to thank you for spending an hour with me. It's very much appreciative and very humbling because we're all very, very busy. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time with author Stephanie Osborne. She's been on the show a couple of times. She's got a whole lot of new stuff coming out. And remember this, we're all on a journey, and our journey is not someone else's journey, and sometimes those journeys are not a lot of fun. So when you're out and about, be kind. Just be kind. It doesn't take anything to be kind, and when you give a blessing, you get a blessing. And also understand this, that if you want to achieve greatness, please stop asking permission because nobody's going to give it to you. It's like Melinda said, it took her 2 years to find a job. But it's not because she's not great, because she is great. The woman is fantastic. And she didn't ask permission to be great. She just did it. And look how it has helped her. Encourage your children to understand they are already great. They don't have to go out and ask permission. They don't have to ask permission from teachers, from peers, from strangers, or from family members. They are already great, and they are our future. So encourage them to make their greatness even better and make your greatness better. With that, I will say thank you for joining us tonight here at Off the Chain. I am your host, Yvonne Mason, with my guest, author Melinda Kucsera, and the last name is spelled Kucsera. Check her out on her website, on Amazon, everywhere books are sold. Friend her on Facebook, get her newsletter so you can see how her characters always are running rampant. Until tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, we bid you all a good evening. Okay, we've gone offline, but everything I tell you will show up in the archive show when people listen to it. But I did want to tell you, because I didn't know if you remembered or not. Yes.
Oh, yeah, I want a link to the archive show. I was telling my coworkers about it.
Well, I was going to tell you how we were going to do that.
Yeah, oh, that's okay, go ahead.
Great minds running together. What I'm going to do when it archives, I'm going to post it on my page, and I'm going to tag you in it.
Okay.
And then all you have to do is either copy and paste it, or either kick it out there on your website or tag other people in it, and It will go all over the place. Yeah. So it's real simple. It's real simple. And then tomorrow I will put this show up on, well, it automatically goes up on Spreaker. And then tomorrow I'll go into Spreaker and put it on SoundCloud and iTunes and iHeartRadio and YouTube. And it shows, and then I will go on SoundCloud and put it up on another, a podcast that I have on SoundCloud that is called, actually I do it on Spreaker. It's called Southern Chats with Yvonne Mason. So on Spreaker, it shows up on 2 podcasts, which then generates to SoundCloud on 2 podcasts, which then generates to YouTube on 2 podcasts. It shows up on iHeartRadio on podcast. So it's going to be on FM.com, TuneIn Radio, iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Podcast.com, Podcast Garden, and some third-party podcasts that I don't put it up on that somebody else does.
Cool.
So you're going to be heard everywhere, my darling.
That's awesome.
It also will be on Reverb Nation.
That's awesome. Wow, that's awesome.
And I will tag you in those as well, and then you can shoot it out there to all of your network too. So yes, you will have access probably in the next 45 minutes or so to send it out to your network, your coworkers, your friends, your relatives, your enemies, your fans. Put it on your group page, put it on your website, put it anywhere you want to. That's
Definitely.
my gift to you.
Yeah,
okay.
It's going in my newsletter too. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, there you go, my darling. You're going to be heard in over 200 countries too.
Wow. How do you have such a huge following?
We've been doing this for almost 3 years, and when I set it up, I also reached out to these other podcasts and put the archive show up on these podcasts, and there's people that are members of those podcasts that listen to the show that don't listen to it on Blog Talk, but they listen to it on Spreaker, on SoundCloud, on iTunes, YouTube, FM.com, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, because see, and we also get it on Stitcher. Stitcher and iHeartRadio, you can get with Sirius, which is in your car.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, this thing just took on its own life form.
Wow. That's amazing. You said there's over 250,000 people. That's just like mind-boggling.
Yeah.
When I heard that, it was like, what? Wow.
Yeah. And over 200 countries. I mean, we're heard in countries that people go, what? We're heard in Iraq and Iran and Egypt and Israel, Australia, Europe, England.
Do people
Wales.
write in from those countries?
Sometimes they do. And we've watched the numbers rise over the years. So we're doing something right.
That's amazing.
We're at almost 137,000 listeners just on Blog Talk in about 8 countries.
Wow. That's incredible.
We're heard in the USSR. We're heard in Scandinavian countries. We're heard Norway, Switzerland. We're heard China, Africa, New Zealand, Australia. So, yeah. So that's why I say the more you put it out there, the more exposure you're going to get.
Yeah. I mean, I that's what I'm trying to do in 2019 is try to be everywhere that readers are.
Well, this is just another tool for you, my friend. This is just another tool, my gift to you. Have fun with it.
Wow.
Don't let it intimidate you. Have fun with it.
No, I'm just awed that, I mean, that's just incredible. And that you have such a huge following and that you want me on the show. I'm like,
but of
course. Can't believe that.
This is why. This is what I do.
Wow.
I want to see everybody that I interview, I want to see them be successful. Because of this show, Diane Mote, who has the Sam Holden series, last year, her books hit #1 in Australia, which at the time was our #1 listening base. And it was from this show.
Oh, I have a pretty good reader base in Australia. I from my blog days, somehow at the times that I was blogging, there was a huge Australian contingent on. So I have something of a following there. Some of my closest fans are in Australia.
So you pull them in, you send them this link so they can listen to it, because they're like 7-8 hours ahead of us, so they're probably still asleep now. But you send them this link and tell them that you were on this show, and then ask everybody that you send this to, or everywhere you put it at, ask them to share it as well.
Yes, I intend to.
And watch it grow. Because we crammed a lot into this hour about your books.
Yeah, no, it was wow. I mean, I still can't believe how much we talked about. Mine's like, I was like, wow. I mean, when I was first called, I was like, what are we going to talk about for an hour? What did we talk about last time for an hour? I was like,
well, we got everybody up to speed on your books, because I went back and looked at your website, and there's so much information on your website. And the last time that we talked mostly about you, because you're the brand, how you got started, right, and all this stuff. We talked about your sister and losing your sister, and that's what jump-started you to write. This time I wanted to bring the books in, because I saw some new books out there. I see where some new books are coming out, and I wanted to whet people's appetite by describing the covers and by talking about the books, how they came about, what's going on within the books, to whet their appetite, especially the fantasy, the people that haven't read fantasy. This will get them where they, let me go check it out.
Yeah. And my stuff it's not as dark as the covers make them look.
The covers aren't dark. The covers are beautiful.
I mean, they're not like dark stories. Like everything kind of has like a happy now ending. They're a little, I fall a little more on the lighter side of things. They do have a little boy in the story. So.
Absolutely, and that's what I kept saying, the father and his son, and bringing all this out to get people interested. So when you start spreading the news, let your network know, please share this, listen to it and share it, and have your network share it, and that's how it gets out.
I definitely will.
So it's my gift to you. My gift to you. And will you come back?
Yes, of course. This was so fun. Whenever you want. This was so fun.
You've got a date, my darling girl.
Just let me know.
I will. I am going to let you go now so that you can go and soak it all in and not be overwhelmed. And we'll give this thing time to load up. And then I'm going to put it on my page, tag you in it, and it will come up on your page, and then you just take it and share it. Put it on all your pages and all your groups. Put it on your website. Link it to everything possible, and then tomorrow I'll put it up on the other sites and send you those links as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be overwhelmed again.
That'd be a good feeling. Because some of these covers were very expensive. I spent my entire Christmas bonus on book covers.
I understand that. It'll all come back. Trust me.
It's a little scary too, though. Laying down that much money just for a book. I was like, am I going to be able to make this back?
You'll make it back. Scott Southworth is an indie music artist, and he was on my show right before Christmas. And his promoter is Michael Stover with MTS Management. I know you've seen me bounce that name around because Michael sends me a lot of these indie artists. And I told Scott, I said, Scott, you're going places. I feel it in my bones. You are going places. Well, he said, really? I said, yeah. I said, trust me on this. I said, Cherish Lee was on my show. Now, Cherish Lee was also one of Michael Stover's artists. She was on my show, and I told her the same thing. I said, you're going places, Cherish. Just hang in there. You're going places. Well, over the Christmas holiday, there was a movie called Going Home, and it was produced by Blake Shelton. The theme song from that movie was written and performed by Cherish Lee.
Wow.
Well, Scott, I told Scott that. He said, you're kidding me. I said, no. I said, it was written and performed by Cherish. And it's her. It played all during the Christmas holiday. It will probably play next year. And now it's on Netflix and on demand and all the other, on the computer, on all the places now that they put stuff. So I told him, I said, you're going places. So here lately, he's been putting up, he was named Indie Music Artist of the Year by one of the major magazines, by one of the country music magazines. He was named in the Indie Country Music Awards. He won either Best Album or Best Single of the Year. So just trust me when I say it's going to happen.
That'd be great because it's hard when you go to work and you really want to work on your books and on the things you really enjoy, and you're stuck with the drudgery of a day job, and
just
I'm kind of burnt out at the day job. I have to force myself to get out of bed. Like, you have to pay the mortgage. The books don't pay the mortgage yet. You need to go to work.
Well,
you just crawl out of bed and it's freezing cold.
It's going to happen. Take this gift and put it out there.
I will. I'm very excited about this. This was so fun. Last year I was so nervous, but this year was fun.
Never be nervous because I only eat people every other Thursday, and today wasn't the Thursday. So I tell children what I tell children is I say, look, I only eat children every second fun day of the month. This isn't the fun day. So you're safe today. I usually get a laugh out of them.
That's great. That's a great way to put people at ease.
Yeah, just make them laugh. So go and enjoy the rest of your night. Let me get this up in the archive so I can send it to you. And know that your books, your covers are magnificent. And my suggestion is this.
Yes.
Is put yourself out there as a cover artist for other fantasy writers and see what happens, even if you just do one or two.
Yeah, you really think so?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I really do. You have a gift. I really, really do.
I could come up with some pre-mades, and that'd be a good way to kind of
and tweak them. Yeah, and tweak them. And even if, but do not sell yourself short.
Oh, no, I know what fantasy covers cost. Yeah, I got very educated in that.
Don't give away your work, but start out at a reasonable cost, maybe to some new author that's totally blown away, overwhelmed, and say, okay, for X amount of dollars, I will do this for you. See what happens. You don't know the answer to the question until you ask the question.
True.
And I would venture to guess that if you do that thing, that the expense for your covers will come back to you. in short order because you do a beautiful job.
That'd be great. I've got some bills. Got some bills that need to be paid.
Well, it can't hurt to try it.
No, it definitely can't.
So there you go. If that's a challenge. I hear the wheels turning.
They definitely are. I'm trying to think of an idea that I could do. I was working on one actually for the one that doesn't have a cover, the Robin the Rogue, which I might be changing the title to that. Not sure.
Well, and on your webpage, put
she's
up
not really
there.
robbing them. She's sort of taking her own child back.
Well, she is a rogue, but on your webpage and on your Facebook page and all your group pages, put up there that you created those covers and that you would like to, however you want to word it, create covers for other fantasy authors at a reasonable price. Try it as an experiment.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of the more established authors and things they like to deride my covers. I've been told by some of the fantasy authors who've been in the indie business a bit longer that my covers are never going to sell. They're not great.
You know what that is? What that is? That's jealousy.
That's what I was wondering, but it's hard to tell. I haven't been in the business as long as some of them have.
Doesn't matter.
And they're selling me, and they're selling rings around me at the moment. But they also have larger bases. So it's hard when you're new. You're not in it.
And they
to figure out.
Melinda, they also have forgotten where they came from.
That's the thing, and I try never to forget that.
So
I'm still there.
do not listen to what other people say, because I would venture to guess that A, they're jealous, B, their covers probably are not that eye-popping.
They all kind of look the same.
I rest my case, Your Honor.
There's that, every genre has that stereotypical book cover.
Yep.
And
yep.
They are just cookie cutter copies of those.
There you go. And therein lies the problem. They are jealous. Yeah, their books sell because they've been out there forever and a day. But I would venture to guess that you are going to get to the top of the mountain. Go ahead and take a leap of faith and offer to do covers for some new authors. Pay it forward.
I could definitely try.
Absolutely.
See what happens.
Well, as Yoda says, do or do not. There is no try. Star Wars. Speaking of Yoda, when Star Wars was first presented to the movie industry to become a film, they said it will never sell. Take that one and chew on it for a little while.
Same thing with Star Trek. They pitched it as Wagon Train in Space.
Yes,
and they're
exactly.
Like, no one will ever watch that.
Exactly. So you be true to you. You do you. Offer your gift to someone else and watch what happens.
I definitely would like to. I wanted to get a little more experience with the 3D thing, and some of them are just sort of like, some of these look great because I spent like 1,000 hours on them.
You'll get there, but the only way you're going to get there,
it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve.
And let doing covers for others be part of that learning curve. Yeah, you might have to take a hit a couple of times. You might have to charge less than what one would expect you to charge. But I guarantee you word of mouth is the greatest advertisement out there. And your name will be on that cover.
Well, it'll be in the copyright in the copyright statement. They have to list the copy because I would own the copyright to it.
Exactly.
To the cover because I created it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I definitely have some science fiction assets that I bought because they were just really pretty. But I can't use them for my books because I don't yet write science fiction. And I was like, this could make somebody a great cover.
There you go. Put that out there. Just put it out there. See what happens.
Yeah. I love playing with it. So it's very relaxing after sitting in traffic for like over an hour.
So there you go. So the next time we talk, you can tell me all the covers you've done for all these wonderful books and all these new authors and how excited they are.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I hope so. But within the author industry, there's a lot of nastiness with covers. There's the favorites that everybody tries to get on their calendars, and they'll pay there's a couple of cover artists. People will pay thousands of dollars for one of their covers, and then hope that they'll sell enough books to cover the cost of it.
And where does it
Jennifer
get them?
Manswami, and I have no idea. They make more money than I do.
My philosophy is this: I do not wear clothes with the name tattooed on the ass. I wear the clothes that I love. And if they're from Walmart and I love it, I wear it. That's the way that when you present this, forget about all those people that pay thousands of dollars for a name brand cover. They're paying for that cover artist's name, not the cover, because I would venture to guess that all those covers look the same.
Not some of these artists. They definitely have a unique look. They're totally different from anything else that's out there. I can't even figure out what genre they are half the time. They're gorgeous.
And what you
can't tell by looking at it, like what genre that is.
Is you lead the herd in fantasy. You stand out because you can. And from the covers that you have done for your books, they are standout covers. And that's why you're getting the hate mail, because their covers all look alike.
Yeah. Well, they don't like the 3D thing. There's this thing.
Well,
but it's the future. It's the future, which is why I'm trying to get really amazing at it, because
either get on board with the 21st century people, or your books are going to get lost in the thousands of fantasy books that are out there because they will not stand out.
Well, and one of the big stock houses that specifically caters towards fantasy has already said that they're not going to produce any more. They're not going to do any photo shoots in 2020 because it doesn't make any sense to keep doing it, because 3D is catching up, and more. It's cheaper for people to do a cover with 3D models and stuff than for them to hire, to go through and get the model releases and hire the model, do the photo shoot, and sell the images.
So you get ahead of that curve, my darling.
That's what I'm trying to do.
All right. The next time you come on this show, you're going to have some covers sold. I guarantee it.
I hope so.
Yep.
I will make some. I'll make some pre-mades and see what happens.
It's like a plan to me. And I will get you back on this show.
Yeah, let me know. It was fun. It was definitely a lot of fun.
All right, sweetheart. I'm going to get off from here. I've got to see if I've got some answers to some messages I sent earlier, and they haven't messaged me back. I'm going to have to message them again because I got to change some phone calls I got to make tomorrow. And share the show, and I will be talking to you later.
Yeah, I need to get back to this story that I'm submitting to an anthology.
All right, sweetie.
It's not done.
Go have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
All right, baby. Bye-bye.
Bye.